have my ears pierced. So literally to make this look festive, I've strung Christmas decorations over my ears. The things I do for Christmas. Hey guys, it's Amy here, back again with another video. With the holiday season now here, we're not exactly going to be talking about Christmas, Hanukkah, or New Year's. Because frankly, it's a homogeny. Why do so many countries have specifically the Christmas season off, whereas, for instance, if someone of Sikh or Hindu background has to literally take days off work to be able to celebrate the holiday most associated and valuable to their culture? That got me to think about the great array of holidays out there. Except the fact that every fantasy book has got some version of a fake Christmas in it. Much like how too many fantasy books feature dragons, have you got no imagination? Cultures value more than Santa Claus and pine trees with snow on them. like the ones I've got in my background. They are tiny! Also, how many times do I have to say when you're building your fantasy worlds, do not make an exact copy of Earth? To do that, my intercultural studies are here to help you make a fantasy holiday unique to your own world. You'll thank me later. Here are 7 tips to creating holidays for your cultures. But first, let me tell you guys what I want for Christmas. I want to reach 100 subscribers on my AltaTube channel. If you haven't already, by all means, do subscribe, let people know, and I'm gonna give you guys a special present back. I wonder what it could be. Do you have any guesses? Number 1, know your culture. If you don't have this, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. You can't collect $200 and pass go. There is no way you're gonna be able to make up a holiday without knowing your culture first. It may be very different because in Western society, many of the holidays that we celebrate, especially if we don't have religious ties, are just because. But every holiday that exists has some sort of tradition or values in it, even if we don't have any associations directly with those values ourselves when we celebrate it. They wind up being rooted in the cultures that celebrate them. Many of these holidays will hold a lot more value to somebody who celebrates them for the religious and cultural aspects of it. And then as white people, just stealing it for the aesthetic. Colonization! But the aesthetic is not what matters. At least, not right now. Right now what matters is your culture. Make sure that you know your culture well, like the back of your hand. I have a video up here in the cards for you to help out with making up a culture. Number 2, identify what's important. Most holidays and celebrations that come around are about something specifically valued for that particular culture. We can see this in modern, Western, and non-Western cultures. And yes, here are some examples. In modern society, we can see queer culture being celebrated through Pride Month and Pride celebrations. People of the LGBTQ+ community celebrate being out, proud, and unashamed of who they are. Pride is all about love, whether it's self-love or who you love. And they are able to celebrate that through a lot of celebrations about being out and proud, including pride parades, probably the most popular among Pride Month celebrations. In Western culture, the 4th of July is celebrated for being liberated from the UK. For many Americans, this was their place to be free, with the 1,000 air quotes around it in some cases, political stab. Thus, America for many people has become a symbol of independence and being a free body. So this is what 4th of July celebrates. The ability to start your life anew and be able to make yourself in America no matter where you come from. For the non-Western example, this one's a little close to home for me. Matariki is a celebration for those who identify as Maori. Maori come from New Zealand. It is the celebration of the new year. It is where we focus on both the past, including mourning the dead, and the future, which includes making sure the crops are set up and the seasons are going to be all set up for a good life for the coming year. The Pleiades constellation, which we here call the Matariki celebration, symbolized in the sky when the new year was happening. It was very important for the Maori community because stars ended up helping them a lot in their day-to-day life, including navigation and harvests and seasons. So if you know what is important in your culture, be it pride, independence, or the harvest, then you are definitely one step closer to being able to make up a holiday that will be meaningful for your culture. Number 3, find something worth celebrating. But how do you determine what will be celebrated and in what manners? We know that many different celebrations today can have different undertones. For instance, instead of a celebration, we have commemorations for Armistice and Anzac Day, versus Christmas being downright a celebration because for many people it's the most wonderful time of the year. But the reason that these holidays and celebrations will end up sticking around is because we are celebrating what is most important to us. And the reason we would stop celebrating something is that it will no longer be significant to the dominant cultures. For instance, in New Zealand, we celebrate Queen's birthday because we are part of the British Commonwealth. However, there has been a lot of debate happening lately as to whether we should still celebrate Queen's birthday after the Queen has resigned or died, which will then be King's birthday. Because to us, the Queen is almost a celebrity. She doesn't really have that big of an impact on New Zealand culture. We are just straying farther and farther away from being some other British colony. So if you are going to be making a holiday, what it needs to be remembered for must still be strong for your culture in the present day in your novel, for instance. Like, how significant is the liberation of your people if a tyrant has recently started ruling? Number 4, make a myth or event surrounding it. These holidays would rarely come up out of the blue. If you have a calendar in your current world, you can use that as references for when these holidays may happen, or if not, it could be passing of the seasons. But you need to be considered why it is celebrated at this particular time. The easiest way would be to have a myth or event that continuously occurs around that day in a year. For Armistice, it is the end of the First World War. For Christmas, it is the birth of Jesus Christ, and both of them have got specific dates to them. However, if we have something else like Diwali, the Chinese New Year, or Easter, that is done based on the lunar calendar and the phases of the moon. That's because during that time of year, there is something worthwhile that happened. A reason to celebrate, rather than just a celebration for the sake of celebrating. Because all across cultures, we have a specific historical event or mythological event that links us back to the reason we celebrate it then. It will be important to create an event that will tie this whole holiday together, because otherwise its meaning will be lost if you're not able to make a concrete way to tie everything together. Number 5, plan the events or traditions. I know, here's what you've been waiting for. The events and traditions that happen during the holiday are going to be the key to the essence of it. You may already have some ideas buzzing around in your head, but let's keep them trapped in there just a little bit longer. Sorry, not sorry. The events and traditions that you make need to be able to link back to the values that the holiday has. You can't just have a generic winter event where we've got gift giving and Father Christmas if your world doesn't have anything like that at all. Because you are not creating Christmas. You are creating your own holiday with your own values and your own traditions and events that will link back to it. And yes, it can be as simple as taking an existing event for inspiration, but then altering it to suit the values of your own world. For instance, this is for a series that I am planning. Marriages have been adapted to be able to better fit that world, because magic is a thing that exists. Marriages in this world are performed as follows. The bride, the groom, and any guests end up wearing masks and different kinds of dresses, sometimes even wigs, to be able to disguise themselves. And then what happens is that they all do some partner dancing around the area that the wedding is taking place in. The ceremony ends up being complete when the bride and the groom, or whoever is getting married, ends up finding each other. When they think they have found each other, they remove their masks. And then the ceremony is complete. This is meant to symbolize the bond that happens between two people and their magics combining. It almost becomes like an instinct that you know who your partner is. But as I said, it'll be much better if you start with the values of your world and creating something out of that, rather than creating an event first and then trying to shoehorn the values in. Number 6, have the meaning lost in translation. Let's face it, holidays in today's society have become a shell of what they once were. Christmas definitely being the primary example. If you asked anybody to say the first thing that pops into their head when they think of Christmas, I don't think a lot of people are going to say Jesus Christ. Furthermore, many holidays and traditions that we have nowadays no longer have the religious ties that they once did. We may recognize the cultural roots that they came from, but this is not the main reason that we celebrate it. We do it because it's popular, it's fun, it's a tradition that nobody has broken in hundreds of years. Older holidays will end up becoming like that, where the meaning of the celebration may no longer be present but is still celebrated and somewhat valued. If your society happens to be an equivalent of our own, there is one thing that the meaning is going to get lost in. Capitalism. Number 7, simplify it to what's most fun. As cultures shift and change, so will their practices. And you can bet that there's going to be one thing in common with the practices that stay. Fun, fun, fun! Fun, fun, fun. What sticks the most in our cultural celebrations is what's most fun. Getting presents on Christmas, checking out the fireworks on the 4th of July, getting drunk on beer on Oktoberfest, the feasts and the food. This is what your holidays will end up being simplified to. It is what will be seen the most and what your holidays will be most identifiable as. If you wanted to get a child interested in your holiday, this would be the stuff that you tell them to guarantee that they will enjoy themselves. And it's going to make readers think this is the most memorable about your holiday. We don't need to hear the origins of how the holiday started unless it's plot relevant. We need to see your people celebrating. And this is how you get the party started. And now you should have a holiday all set for your fantasy worlds. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new around here. Ring that bell to find out when I post more creative content and give me the best Christmas gift ever of 100 subscribers. If you're looking for a last-minute Christmas gift for somebody, may I suggest the perfect one for Bookworm, ASTER'S CODA Exposure, my own novel, available for you to buy in the description. Perfect for people who love a good urban fantasy young adult book. Follow Abby Tacker as she deals with her family's otherworldly blood feud and sees if she can survive against her family's most hated enemy. And be sure to check in the description for my Instagram, my TikTok, my Fiverr, and my blog. Stay creative, everybody, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Have a good holiday season, everybody.